Hello, and welcome to the 9th episode of Creator Spotlight Season 2 from The Interface. Creator Spotlight is our series where we talk to creators about what they make and do and how they got started. Today I'm joined by Jerry Schulze. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Forgive me for that.
Close.
Okay.
Schulze.
Schulze. Okay. So Jerry Schulze, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I am nervous. This is the first podcast I've ever been on. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, not doing too badly. But yeah, no, it's really good to have you on the show. I've been watching your videos for quite a while now. The first video I watched of yours was actually the iMac when it came out, the iMac 24-inch, the orange one.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Because I was looking to buy one at the time, and that's what I'm using for this recording. So
Oh, fantastic.
so really good. So
my video helped you buy it.
Yeah.
Helped you decide which one to buy?
Yeah. So yeah, all good.
Awesome. Very cool. Which one did you end up getting?
I ended up getting the blue one. I did.
Okay.
I was sort of on the ledge about sort of getting a yellow one because I quite like yellow. So, but
Nice.
but no, I got the blue one in the end. It looks quite nice, so I'm quite happy with it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So just a little bit about yourself. So, for people that might not know, you do tech videos on YouTube basically, and sort of focusing on Macs and Apple stuff. So, how long have you been doing that for?
So I started the channel in the fall of 2019, but I didn't actually start with the plan to be focused on tech. I kind of wanted to just talk about the general crap that I buy, just daily stuff I buy off Amazon to solve one tiny little issue at my house. And it just kind of slowly evolved over to what people were more interested in, it seemed, which was more the technology side. And then that just kind of filtered a little bit more to be a little bit more Apple focused.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a lot of stuff. So you've covered a lot of the new stuff that was announced recently from the Apple event. When was that? That was about a month ago now. Jeez, it's gone quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff from that. So have you I see you've got the MacBook 15-inch. Is that a laptop you decided on using day to day, or the?
Yeah. So the MacBook Air, the 15-inch MacBook Air, I'm actually using it right now for this podcast.
Okay.
It's great that Apple's released a larger, lower cost laptop, I guess, a laptop that's larger, that doesn't cost $2,500. I'm still kind of torn on whether or not it's a good laptop, I guess. Just the specs in it just feel dated at this point. And I think I've talked about that in some of my videos as well. Where 8 and 256 just seems like it's out of touch with 2023. And for the cost, I think we should definitely see 16 gigabytes probably as a minimum really soon, since it wasn't this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. I picked up the 13-inch. So it's essentially the same computer, isn't it? The 13-inch MacBook.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's just bigger. I was quite happy that they announced that because I've seen a few 16-inch MacBook Pros. I've had friends use them and then think, oh, but it's such a big size. It's such nice for traveling. But no, that's really good. So I'd imagine that upsell pretty well. And it's relatively inexpensive for a MacBook, isn't it? So pretty good.
The new price on the 13-inch.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool that they dropped the price to $10.99.
Yeah.
So that was nice. That makes it a little bit more palatable, and then you can get it on sale for $9.99 a lot of times from Amazon and other places. So that makes it an even better deal.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we just jumping back a little bit. So you touched briefly on how you got started into YouTube. So it was never sort of the idea to sort of do it as often as you are, or was it just a hobby sort of thing to start with? Because that's usually how things start like that.
Yeah, it was definitely a hobby. And the best way I can explain it is actually Gary from the Everyday Dad. Have you seen his channel?
I think so. I think so.
Laptop reviews.
I think so.
At one point, I don't remember if it was a podcast he was on or something, but he said he started the YouTube channel because his wife was tired of him talking about tech or something like that. And that's, kind of a great way to say it, because I wanted to talk about this stuff. Nobody in my household was really interested in it, and I needed some kind of outlet. I talked to people at work, but this just gave me another way to talk about tech or just the things I buy in general when I started, that nobody else really cared about.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what was the very first thing you reviewed on your channel, if you can remember?
Yeah, I remember. It's actually not on the channel anymore. Once I started pivoting more towards tech, I took it down. But it was actually for a pool skimmer. So, the little net that you use to clean the pool.
Yeah.
You know, it was really just kind of a trial video to see if I could get through the process and get through the video editing and kind of figure out the YouTube interface and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a review about this fine mesh pool net. But it ended up being a couple minutes long, and I remember it taking me like something god awful, like 15 hours to edit. And this was on, I think, Premiere Pro at the time. I was using an all-in-one PC, and it was painful.
Yeah, definitely.
But I might have to put that back on my channel as like a private and just kind of post it to my community feed just to see if anybody cares.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happens with a video if you've had it private for so long and you republish it. I'm not too sure what happens with the stat. Does it become a new video? That's quite a
Yeah, I actually took it down a while ago, so it would have to be a new post. Yeah, but I probably would make it a public one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did the same. So this podcast that started last year was the very first, like, I want to say like professional time I started, sort of more serious starting doing video on YouTube. I did my very first video probably 2015, just reviewing like an Apple TV.
Okay. Wow.
So I just thought of, I just took them all down because they were sort of quite embarrassing. But as soon as I started doing it, started doing it properly again. But definitely, yeah, it's interesting looking back at some of your first stuff. It's
oh yeah, I mean, I can go back 2 months ago and be embarrassed about a video. So I don't think it ever gets old. Hopefully, I'm improving in one way or another as time goes on.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that you're not too sure that it's happening, but if you look back at something from like 6 months ago, if you're doing videos regularly, and think that at the time you thought, oh, that's great, but you look back and think, oh, I could have done that better. But it's like a subconscious thing that you just improve. Your brain picks up things over time. I think, especially with editing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, editing is definitely not my strong suit right now.
Okay.
I've gone through different editing programs, but I don't know if we're going to get to that. But it's something that confuses me, even though I do it all the time, because I'm not sure what I want to do to make it better or how I can use it to tell my story. I'm still trying to actually figure out everything. I don't know exactly what I'm doing after 3 years.
What do you use for editing? Do you use Final Cut Pro or?
Yeah, I currently use Final Cut Pro. A couple months ago, I went back to Premiere for a couple of videos because I tried to do a outsourced editor for a couple of videos just to see what that kind of looked like, and it didn't go well. So I'm back to Final Cut.
Okay. Yeah. It's So as I said, I've been doing videos about a year now, and it's still. I know it's not very long, but it's like yourself. It still confuses me in certain areas that like. Yes, I know how to put all the bits together, but I'm still learning over. I think there's so much to it because Final Cut Pro, they use that for proper movies and stuff. So there's obviously more to it under the skin. It took me ages to work out how to add, it sounds really stupid, how to add proper like text annotations because they're all really weird in Final Cut Pro. So I managed to find plugins and things for it. So it's a big learning curve, definitely. So
yeah, it's funny like going back and like we were saying, watching old videos. Like the gaps between my cuts, I stop talking and then there's a long pause and then there's a cut and then there's a pause and then I start talking, right? So just those little things that you learn over time about where to cut your videos so things flow a little bit more seamless without having awkward silent parts.
Yeah, well then you could go too far, you could cut it too much and it becomes like this cut sort of thing. Like it becomes really weird.
This guy doesn't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, really strange. But yeah, it's interesting. Like there's as I said, massive learning curve with YouTube, but you seem to have grown the channel really well. So it's got a decent amount of subscribers, which is good. Is it a full-time thing or?
It is not.
Okay.
This is still kind of a little side gig, if you will.
Yeah.
I still have a regular job that's I manage like 12 or 13 IT folk. Systems engineers, storage engineers, data center admins. And so that's my full-time job. And I do this, nights and weekends and whatever I can find time, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the interface, the website behind this podcast isn't my full-time gig either, but I do content creation on the side. So I do content creation full-time job, making videos for another company. And then I sort of each the hobby and the job sort of feed into each other, which is really nice. So sort of learn from each bit, which is helpful. So
Oh yeah, it makes it convenient. Then you can work on the other one, and they might not know because you're just making videos.
well, yeah. Just a little bit about sort of jump topics a little bit, but going back to WWDC. So this year was the first year I didn't actually cover the Apple event this year because I sort of felt that there's so much stuff about it. I just couldn't. Well, I couldn't be bothered, but I didn't particularly want to cover it this year. But I definitely sort of followed along with what was announced. What do you think about all the stuff that was announced earlier this month? There's a bunch of stuff.
Well, yeah. I was kind of in the middle of other things during WWDC, but obviously I read up. I think there's a lot of great updates coming to Mac OS and iOS and iPad OS, but I'm not sure how great they really are. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't even think of some of the features right now. Obviously, I think of multitasking on iPad, but I played around with that and I didn't seem to feel any real difference with Stage Manager.
Oh, okay.
And of course, the biggest thing is the Vision OS and Apple Vision Pro.
When it comes to something, well, the first thing I can think of with iOS is like offline maps. That's like, to me, that's the biggest thing for me.
That was the first thing I did.
Yeah,
the first thing I did with the beta.
Yeah,
good point.
Yeah, because it comes to something, if the OS isn't becoming as exciting as it once was, just little life improvements are the biggest thing for you, and I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I am interested in Vision Pro quite a bit to try it out. More just a general curiosity, really. I've never really been interested in like VR headsets for gaming.
Same.
It's just not something that appeals to me. But I have a number of issues with how Apple's presenting the Vision Pro as a workplace tool, where people are walking around the workplace with this thing on their head, and then you have glowing eyes so that people can see you. Like, I just don't see that happening, and I also don't see people sitting around for 8 hours a day on video calls for work and showing presentations. I think the main draw to this is going to be entertainment. Like, with most things, it's going to be watching movies and maybe playing some games if, that is a much better experience than other ones on the market right now. But I am very curious to try it and just see what the latency feels like as you move your head around and see how it interacts with the actual world around you. So really, really curious about that.
I'm tempted not to be too skeptical because of how skeptical people have been before about other Apple things which have been really popular. So until we try it, we don't think we should be too skeptical about it. But first time I heard about using a Mac with the Vision Pro, you can use it like an extension of the display. I think, that'd be so cool for video editing because you could sort of get a huge screen to edit on without having to get a bigger monitor. It'd be quite cool, but we shall see how that works.
Yeah, I'm really curious if that's going to be just the regular Mac Final Cut Pro app, or somehow there's a divergence or a collaboration with the iPad OS version. Because if you're just using the Mac version, right, as you're using the Vision Pro as a Mac display, it's probably just the Mac version, right? You're using a keyboard and a mouse or trackpad. But maybe there's some other kind of controls with that you don't need to use your Mac for. So would it just be the iPad version, or would it be something else entirely? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Have you used the iPad version of Final Cut Pro at all?
I haven't. I was really excited to try it out, and then I had some work stuff. The day it came out, I was busy. I couldn't get to it. And the next day, I saw all the reviews.
Oh, no.
I was like, maybe it's not worth my time right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the iPad I've got can't run it. But
oh, no.
So, but I think, I'm not sure. I prefer sitting down in front of a computer to edit video, but yeah.
Yeah. So I did. So I started off with Premiere Pro on a Windows PC when I started the channel. And then I actually did switch to iPad as kind of my primary device for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And so I was using LumaFusion Pro for quite a while, or LumaFusion for quite a while to edit a lot of my videos. And at that point, I was actually using all iPhones and iPads to do the recording and stuff. So it was pretty cool. I actually enjoy that experience. I like being able to sit on the couch with an iPad and edit, but I ran into a lot of limitations at the time with LumaFusion. So that's when I switched over to Final Cut Pro.
The one thing I do use the iPad for, productivity wise, is this is one of 3 podcasts I've got. So this one's a video podcast, and the other ones are 2 audio only. And I actually edit the audio ones on the iPad using something called Ferrite. It's like it's like a very focused way to edit podcasts, and you can. What I do is I set it down with the Mac, and then I can use the what do you call that feature? Is it continuity or the fact you can use the keyboard and mouse with both machines at the same time and drag things between the two devices. I think that's called continuity, isn't it?
I keep wanting to say air display.
Universal.
That's not right.
Universal control.
Yeah, universal control. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I find that really cool because I can take screenshots and things on the Mac and then drag them over to the iPad and do the different things. So I find that really cool. But that's the only thing I really use it for. Simply because
I used Ferrite for a while to help edit the audio at the time. And I think I learned about Ferrite from Christopher Lawley, another YouTuber who focuses mostly on iPad.
Yeah. No, a friend of mine does podcasts, so as soon as he found out I was using Final Cut Pro to edit the video version and export it audio wise, it was a huge file. And I said to him, "Why is it so big?" He said, "You need to use some proper podcasting tool because it's gonna be massive files." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." There's a lot. Going back to the video stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you learn about doing things. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, never stop. At least I don't.
No.
I don't think there's probably nothing that's 100% same between my videos, whether it's how I'm editing or how I'm editing the audio or how I'm just whatever. There's always something that's different.
Yeah, I think I was worried that was the same in mine because I noticed some of the audio levels aren't quite the same. I was thinking, is that a big problem? Should the audio levels be exactly the same between all of them? And different styles, I've always experimented with things. I don't think it matters that much.
It's audio was definitely the trickiest part for me. Trying to figure out, I went through a bunch of different microphones, and for the last year plus, I've been kind of using this Sennheiser MKH 417 or whatever it is. And I think that gives my voice so far out of the ones I've tried kind of the most natural sound. But then editing, I've used Final Cut Pro. I've tried to use Adobe Audition and Logic and other things just to try and normalize some of the frequencies, get rid of some of the crap, get rid of some of the echo. And so right now I'm using just a couple of built-in parts of Final Cut Pro to equalize and then remove some of the lower sounds. But I've tried everything, and I'm going to keep trying because I'm still not exactly happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot to it. I messed up a video a while ago where I didn't even think about it. I had the audio gain right up, and as soon as I put it on YouTube, it was just sort of distorted. But that's a redo.
I've messed up audio. I've not recorded audio, recorded a whole A-roll shot that took an hour or hour plus to do, and ended up not having the microphone connected. So now I'm trying to make sure I have redundancy. So in the camera that I have up above here, I have a Rode microphone on it too. So it's not just the built-in microphone on that camera.
Yeah.
So if my main audio for some reason is messed up, I can pull it off of this one up here. So I like having a backup. I even thought about, should I start using a lavalier mic too? Because I'll start going overboard when I have issues, trying to figure out a way to have it not happen again.
Yeah. So when I tend to use a lavalier mic for a lot of stuff. Just clip on your t-shirt, whatever. It's quite cool. But so here's a question. With the audio, do you like with a Rode microphone, do you have the microphone plugged into the camera, and then when you export the file, the audio and the video comes out of one file, or do you record them separately and then you have to sync it up in post?
Yeah, so right now I record directly to the video file. So this guy right here is connected to an XLR input connected to my Sony A7 IV. And so it's directly in there. And then up here, this is just a non-powered Video Micro Go or whatever.
Yep.
And it's plugged right into the camera with a 3.5 millimeter jack. I have in the past used like an external recorder, like the Zoom F6. And because I really wanted to, because I sucked at audio, I wanted to try the 32-bit float audio so that I didn't have to worry about the levels, and I could adjust them without any loss inside Final Cut Pro. So I did that for a while, but every now and then I would have weird sync issues when I synced up the audio with the video. So that's why I'm where I am now with the audio directly into the camera again.
Yeah.
To avoid that.
Yeah, I'm just starting to get into car reviews, and when you're doing the interior shots, I tend to have two cameras now, and getting the audio synced up. So I haven't I haven't quite figured out the time coding on cameras yet. So I just do a clap.
Okay.
I do a clap and then sync them together, and maybe like 10, 15 minutes afterwards, there's a very, very slight separation between camera 1 and camera 2. But when you're when you're watching it back and turn off the audio on one of them, it's not noticeable. So I'm not really sure how to get that working yet, but it's something to learn.
Yeah, that's the biggest reason I switched away from Premiere Pro at the time is because I was recording with iPhones, and because iPhones record in a variable bit rate, I would always have audio issues at some point in the video. At some point, the video and the audio would be so far off, there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't get them synced. And like I said, I tried Audition and other things to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main reasons I switched over, because Premiere Pro back in 2019, 2020 didn't really like the files coming out of the iPhone.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I tend to use DJI equipment. So I got a DJI Pocket 2 with the gimbal built in, and then I got DJI's version of the GoPro, so the Action 3 it's called. And they seem to work. They seem to work pretty well, actually. It was a big learning curve with all the color stuff, because with an iPhone you just turn it on and it's good to go. But
yeah, color is a whole nother thing. And I am actually shooting in S-Log 3 now for my videos, and I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years. I just kind of figured that out about 6 months ago. So that's another thing that took a really long time for me to figure out.
Is that sort of recording in when it's all washed out and you have to fix it afterwards? Mm-hmm. Okay, right.
Yeah, very flat profile, and say when you're done, you bring up all the, all the colors and the highlights and the shadows and all that.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah,
I haven't quite figured that out yet. I did try it, and it's like, no, not really ready for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've probably watched at least 100 videos on grading S-Log 3 footage. So I don't know. I tried to make it natural. For a while, I was trying to go for kind of, the cinematic, some kind of moody vibe. And I've kind of settled on, I just want things to look like they're supposed to look, or like they look like in real life.
Well, it looks really good.
So I try to be as natural as possible.
Yeah. I think it looks really good. So
thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
We're going to get onto, I noticed there was a video you published a while ago about, it didn't get many views, but it was about RSI in your arm. Now, I've had that recently. I get it about every 6 months or so. That was quite an interesting topic, because I've not really heard many people talk about it in video form anyway. What was that like? Because that's excruciating when it's...
Yeah, it was. And I still suffer from it a little bit, but essentially for everybody listening, for more than 2 years, I had this pain in my elbow that radiated down my arm and into my hands, to where I could barely grab things. Like doing this, holding up this can of soda water was painful and sometimes difficult. Like I would have to almost hold it with 2 hands so I wouldn't drop it. Like moving covers off of me or moving my pillow at night is just excruciating. There was nothing I could do that wasn't causing pain in my arm or elbow. So I went to orthopedic surgeons, and I went to hand specialists, and I did physical therapy on it, all for years. And finally, it started going away. And the one big change that I had made before that happened is I actually switched from using an external mouse on the side to using just the trackpad and keyboard right in front of me. So using a laptop instead of a mouse on the side. And so what it looks like is just that side motion all day off to the side was putting enough stress on my elbow that it was causing me excruciating pain. Wow. So ever since I switched to using a laptop primarily as my regular daily driver and using the trackpad in front of me, that pain has gone away about 90-95%.
That's decent.
So it is so much better.
Yeah.
And there was that video was about some of those tools that you can get kind of like to have a laptop like setup without using a laptop. So there was like trays where you can put in the Apple Magic Keyboard and Magic Trackpad and use it like a laptop. So I was trying out some of those as well, because I'd love to go back to an iMac. I'd love to go back to a Mac Studio, but with having to use external devices or regular mouse on the side,
Mm-hmm.
it was going to cause me pain.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
now I have a solution.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, mine was more typing. So if I did too much typing in one day, then it would be on this part of the arm. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's painful and it's really hard to figure out. I mean,
yeah.
it's rough. I did everything I could to try and figure it out. Like they did I can't remember what it's called now, but where they withdraw blood,
Yeah.
they spin it and separate the platelets, and then inject the platelets back into my elbow.
Huh.
And that was probably the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And it did nothing.
Yeah, it sounds awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd mention that because it's an important thing that not many people talk about, and it's for those who have it, it's awful. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm always aware now. Like I've been on a computer since I was 15, 16, and so my posture is definitely not great. I'm always kind of aware of that, and I'm always trying to sit back and kind of bring my shoulders back, or I have a standing desk, right, and I raise it up. So I try to be aware of my body because if you're not, you're going to run into issues.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, moving away from tech a little bit, so it's kind of tech, but I noticed there was a video you published, it's about a year ago now, talking about you powered your house off a F-150, which was really cool. I found that really cool. Yeah. When I first saw the thumbnail and I watched it the other day, I thought, oh yeah, he's got the Lightning, the electric truck, but it wasn't, was it? It was a diesel or petrol truck. So
yeah, it's an F-150 Ford F-150 Power Boost truck, so it's a full hybrid truck.
Right.
So it's got I think a 40 horsepower electric engine, and then it's got the gas engine,
mm-hmm.
and just like the Lightning, it's got a generator built into the back of the bed. And so I can run that into my house to power my house. I installed a sub panel and moved everything that I would want onto that sub panel, and then the truck could power it. And it works extremely well.
Yeah.
And I got it after we had some major storms a couple of years ago here in Texas during the winter, and we lost power for like a week and when it was like really, really cold out. And I was like, I don't want to go through that again. So that's why I got that truck. And then, of course, since then, we haven't lost power.
Yeah, it's always the way. Yeah. Have you? I guess you got that before the Lightning was out.
I think the Lightning might have been announced, but I don't think it was out at that point. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But what's nice about that too, because it's a generator, but it's really quiet. So I don't know if you've seen like portable generators or whole house generators. They're pretty loud. They sound like a lawnmower or something. But this thing ran most of the time with the engine off, just using the built-in hybrid battery.
Right.
And then the engine would turn on and off as needed just to kind of recharge the battery internally, which was much quieter than a generator.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, well, I guess would you consider looking at the Lightning once you need a new vehicle? Because we cover a lot of electric vehicles on the interface. So
yeah, absolutely. So we have a Mustang Mach-E right now.
Lovely.
That's my wife's car. She got it a little more than a year ago. And yes, I absolutely want a Lightning. Actually, my truck was in the shop for about a month, and for 2 weeks they gave me a Lightning as a loaner vehicle.
Right. Okay.
And it was stupid fast. I mean, this thing was faster than our Mach-E. Like,
oh, really?
Definitely. And our Mach-E is the all-wheel drive extended range, so it's pretty fast. But even the Lightning was faster, and that just like something that big and heavy probably shouldn't move that fast.
Yeah, I find it interesting because it's not a vehicle that's going to come here to the UK. So, but I did.
Oh, really?
I did.
Okay.
Well, that size truck just didn't. They don't put it on sale here. Even the Rivian, even the Rivian's not on sale here. So it's quite funny.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I was in France or Paris and London.
I did see. Yeah.
A month or two ago.
Yeah.
And last month. Yeah. And one thing I did mention to my wife, I was like, man, there are no trucks here. And then, of course, I said that. And then I started seeing some, Ford Rangers or trucks that size. So I'm surprised there's no Rivians.
Yeah, that's the biggest truck we've got, really, the Ford Ranger.
Okay.
Yeah. And even they look big in our car parking spaces, which is quite funny. But
Yeah. Ranger was always my first love. That was my first vehicle that I ever wanted. It is the second vehicle I got. And I've owned two of them. And ever since, like, every time I see one on the road, especially since they brought them back to the U.S. a couple of years ago, I want one. But every time I think about it, it's just too small. When because we do a lot of home improvement, or we go to the beach,
Yeah.
right? I need that space in the back of the truck, and the Ranger's just not enough anymore.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's always cool looking at
Yeah.
the differences between cars in the US and the UK. It's massive difference. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I want to look at is, we discussed what you use to edit, but one thing I always ask people is, have you got any advice for anyone looking to get into YouTube? Because there's some people which have to pick up everything. They have to pick up all the knowledge from the start, sort of by themselves, and that's where a lot of people start from. They have to pick up everything themselves. You've got from that your time doing YouTube. Have you got any advice for anyone looking to start? Or
Yeah, it's not easy after 3 years, but it's not going to get easier if you don't just start, right? I mean, there's that channel, their slogan is, just hit record. And that's true, right? I started with just my iPhone. I think it was an 11 Pro at the time. I used that to record my videos, and the videos were not great. And the lighting was not great. And the audio was not great. Nothing about that was great. But it started, right? Nobody's going to see your first 10, 15, 20 videos. But that's the time where you start learning the process and how to make videos. And you just use what you got, right? I started just doing reviews about stuff that I was buying off Amazon for random junk, like the pool skimmer, or things I already had, like an iPhone charger. I just started reviewing the things that I had. And then when Apple would come out with something new, if I was able to afford it, I might pick one up and do some reviews and talks about that. But yeah, it's really just starting somewhere and forgetting about being embarrassed. Don't worry about, oh my God, am I going to sound right or look right? Or how's this video going to come out? People are going to hate it. It doesn't matter. Most people are not going to see it. So like I said, that's the time you just learn the process.
Yep.
And that's the only way to start.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because there's a lady I had on the podcast last year. She reviews cars, and even like 3 or 4 years into it, she still uses her iPhone because it's just easier, and the videos still look really good. And then there's one guy who I spoke to last year. He doesn't edit his videos; he just shoots on his phone, stops, and just uploads that, and it does really well. And it's quite funny how the difference is. You could spend hours and hours and hours editing for like a few people to see it. And like you're right, you just do it. So
yeah. I wish I could be one of those people that can just talk about a topic for 10 minutes straight and then make 3 cuts and then upload it. But that's just not me, right? Most of the time I script out my videos.
Okay.
And even that can take 35, 45, an hour to record, and then multiple hours to cut that up because I mess things up. Even if I have a script right in front of me, I'll read the same thing over and over and over 18 times until I get it right. But yeah, I wish I could be like that. Tech Odyssey is another channel. He just uses the front-facing camera of his iPhone. He just talks for like 10 minutes straight and he's done. I wish I could be that efficient.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've never scripted anything actually. If I don't say it right, I just stop and just pause for like 5 seconds. So I've got a place to cut it and just start talking again.
Yeah.
That tends to be easier. If I try and script it, I think it becomes a bit weird.
Yeah. And I've been playing with unscripted videos over the last year. Probably about half of the videos in the last year have been unscripted.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I think I probably need something more in the middle where I have a really locked down like outline that I can follow. So I can get away from full scripting if I don't have to kind of save time.
Yeah. Yeah, you need like a running order of topics. Otherwise, you'll just be like rambling about stuff for ages. It won't make any sense.
Yeah,
definitely.
Or I'll be like talking about all the physical attributes of a computer, but then I'll forget, the trackpad or something. I'll start talking about, the screen, and like, oh yeah, and then the trackpad or whatever. So I'll end up jumping around if I don't have something a little more locked down.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jerry, for joining me on the Creator Spotlight. It's been really good to talk to you about what you make and do on YouTube. If people want to find out more about what you make and do, where can they find you online?
Yeah, the only places really is going to be youtube.com/Jerry Schulze or Twitter @Jerry Schulze.
Awesome. Yeah, links will be in the show notes. Check out what Jerry does. He makes some really, really good content on YouTube. It's definitely worth checking out. If you want to find more information about the interface, theinterface.uk, 3 different podcasts, interface.uk/podcasts. go and check that out. It's something for everyone. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.